The peace of the Lord be with you. You are welcome to the Presbyterian Diaspora activities. This is the PCG Diaspora live on PCG TV, and we welcome you to dialogue with us, watch us, listen to us, be educated, to get the information flow through you about the work and the activities of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana when it comes to the activities outside the soils of our land. And the Presbyterian Church of Ghana is doing marvelous activities. In our previous sessions, we have told you that the Presbyterian Church of Ghana has two major presbyteries outside of the country. And one of that presbytery is what we are going to discuss today. And I have no mean people to discuss the entire presbytery than the bishop of the presbytery, and with the lay rep of the presbytery. And so stick and stay with us. You are going to enjoy today's discussion, and we will be right back after the break. Welcome back to PCG Diaspora. So at this moment, I will be taking you to my special guests. In fact, they are very, very special. We had to fly them all over from Europe down to Ghana to have this interaction with them. And so I have with us here the Reverend Seth Dubate Ajokache. He happens to be the chairperson of the Europe Presbytery. Papa, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Papa, how is Europe?
Europe is fine.
Oh,
a bit
okay.
cold
Oh.
as compared to here.
Sure.
But Europe is fine. We are doing
Europe
well.
is fine. We thank God. Did you start your ministry right there in Europe, or you have a beginning somewhere, I believe? Tell us about where you started all ministry from and who you are.
Thank you very much, Papa. Yeah, so Reverend Seth Ajokache is a Ghanaian.
Okay.
I was born in Accra.
Okay.
And raised in Accra. I grew up in Bubuashi.
Okay.
So Bubuashi Ramsia congregation is my congregation. That's where I started children's service and grew up.
I see. Children's service teacher.
Yes. And I became a children's service teacher myself.
Sure.
So actually I did not start life in Europe, but I started here, right here in Ghana, in Accra, in Bubuashi. Yes, and I remember that when we were in YPG, then we were all part of the biggest district, Carnation district, which went all the way to Kaswa barrier. And so we were quite active in the church, YPG, evangelism committee, Bible study and prayer group, and any other thing, music, whatever you call it. I mean, we were young and we had time, so we really used that time. Just to remembering our Creator.
We thank God. So you candidated from Bubuashi?
Yeah, so I candidated from Bubuashi, Carnation District. My district minister then was Reverend Dr. Isaac Foucault.
Foucault.
Yeah, so he candidated me.
Yes, Papa Foucault. Yeah. We salute you, Papa Foucault.
Yes.
So after candidating, you went to Trinity or SMT?
I went to Trinity.
Okay. Papa, which hall? Which hall in Trinity?
Oh, Great Ojija Hall.
Oh, beautiful.
Great Ojija. Ojija is the greatest.
All those who are watching us, that is one of the halls in Trinity Theological Seminary. In fact, the champion hall, actually.
Yeah.
The rich people.
Yeah. Named after our own past moderator.
Yeah.
The very Reverend EML Ojija.
Yes.
So it's Ojija. A great hall.
Yes, it's a very great one. Okay, so from Trinity, where did you go to? Where your first station?
So I completed Trinity in 2005.
Okay.
And was commissioned in June 2005. And my first station was in Sefriawaso. Then Sefri used to be part of Asante Presbytery.
Yes.
So my first presbytery as a minister was Asante Presbytery. I was in Awaso, and then I was ordained in 2007 in Sunyani.
Okay.
And I stayed in Awaso for another year before I was moved to Asuka as the district minister in Asuka. And at that time, I was one of the youngest district ministers. I
In
was
Asante Presbytery, the entire Asante Presbytery. I remember.
I mean, the entire church, I could say, at that time.
Okay. I remember. But I also went to Asuka, so I saw your footprints there. I went to meet your footprints there.
We
Yes.
thank God.
That's great. So from Asuka, you became the district minister.
I became
there.
a district minister
District
there
minister from
in
Asuka. Then from Asuka.
And then from Asuka, I got appointment to go to Austria as a communicable co-worker. But before going to Austria, I spent 1 year as district minister in Manyakbouno in Dangbetong Presbytery.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
And I was in Austria since from November 2012 until September 2018. So I came back, and then I went to Adanfor as district minister of Adanfor, also for 1 year. It looks as if the Dangbetong Presbytery, they always receive me in bits and pieces. And they always tell me, Papa, you have not finished. So go and come and continue. So Manyakbouno people are waiting for me. Adanfor people are also waiting for me to come and continue. So I went to Amsterdam first to study for my further studies. And then later on, I was assigned to act as district minister for the Netherlands Belgium district. After a year, I was confirmed and inducted as the substantive district minister. And now I found myself here as the chairperson of the Europe Presbytery.
Wow, what a journey. Moving on. It is said that when you see great people, remember they were lesser before becoming great. It is greatness that doesn't come in just a bloom. We develop it. And so Papa has gone through. Let's come to Mama Gifty Schubert. Mama, tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Who am I?
You.
I am Gifty Schubert.
Okay.
And the name Schubert doesn't sound like it's Ghanaian. My husband is a German.
All right.
After school, I went to Nigeria and I worked with the.
You went to Nigeria from where?
From Accra,
from Ghana. Yeah. Oh, okay. So
I am a Ghanaian. I was born in Sumu.
Okay.
I'm from a Propon.
I see.
So
Okay.
after school, I just don't want to go this long.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I went to Nigeria and I worked with the Liver Brothers company, and it was there I met my husband. Yeah, and then we went to Germany. He's a German, so we went to Germany, and I was born into the Presbyterian church,
Wow.
baptized, everything.
Okay.
But then along the line, we drift.
Okay.
So I was drifted, and somewhere along the line, I just felt in me that I needed God.
All right.
And just at that time, there were some Assemblies of God members. I mean, in Lagos, Nigeria.
Okay.
So they invited me to the Assemblies of God church, and then I followed them. So in Europe, I felt this urge that I wanted to be closer to God than following our Sundays. Instead of going to church, we would go to swimming with the children and other things. I didn't like it. And as I was in Nigeria, I joined the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship. Okay, so I joined it also there. And then Europe. From there, I was invited to the German Pentecostal. They call themselves Freichrist.
Okay.
So I was worshiping with them until a minister from the EP, he came to Frankfurt to do his PhD.
Okay.
And I was in the church sitting upstairs, and they brought him to me that he needed an ear, a phone for the translation.
Okay.
So I took him downstairs and gave him one. After the service, he came back to me and I asked him where he was from. He said he's from Ghana. I said, "Oh, I'm also a Ghanaian."
Oh,
so
okay.
From there,
the conversation started.
Yeah, and then I was leading House Christ. What is House Christ? House Cell.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
house help.
So he started coming, and he never told me he was a minister.
Okay,
So after about 6 months, he invited me to the Presbyterian Church of Ghana in Frankfurt.
okay,
And it was in this church where it's a German church.
okay.
So they call it Evangelisch. And the Presbyterians were worshiping there after the Germans. Yeah.
All right.
So he invited me there. And then when I went, I said, I know this church. This is where my daughter was confirmed.
Hmm.
And the moment I got there, the adults were inside jubilating. It was Women's Day. And the children were outside playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a children
Service teacher.
teacher
Whoa.
with the fry crisp.
Yes.
So it just hit me hard. How could the children be playing and the adults? They also need Christ.
All right.
And this is where my journey into the Presbyterian faith
Wow, wow. We read the Bible and we hear about how the miraculous way Paul had encounter with God and all the miracles and then things that we read. But practically, some of these things are happening. God takes his people to certain point and he says, hey, this is the point.
Yeah.
Come back and then come and work for me. And they all lovely come back and work for. So, Mama, from there you developed, you grew back your interest into the
it
church.
took some time.
Okay.
I decided that every Sunday I will go to this church and be with the children.
All right.
So I will go in the morning to the fry crisp. Then
Oh,
after
okay.
that, I will come here. And I had my little boy with
Okay.
me.
Okay.
So when we came here, he fell in love with the son of the catechist.
Okay.
And so the day I don't go, he will even go and teach this class.
Wow.
And this is how it all started. So one day, when I go, I wouldn't go to the adults service. I
Service
go only
again,
to
yeah.
the children. So one day I just entered, and the adults were having a Bible study. So immediately I entered. The senior presbyter, he was the one leading, and he said, "Mama Gifty, why don't you come to help us?"
Mm.
I didn't know it was going to take me so deep.
Wow.
Maybe I wouldn't have said yes. So I consented, and then I saw it was having a toll on me going here and then coming here, doing the children's service, coming to help in the Bible study, and then Monday morning I would run and go to the office and work. And my family was also complaining, so I just decided this is home.
Okay.
My people are here,
All right.
and I see there is a calling here, and I follow it. So I followed it, and it has taken me far and wide.
Wow,
It has
far
brought me
and
here
wide, and
today.
even deeper, just as she said. Beloved, you are still on PCG Diaspora, and has been a conversation with the Europe Presbytery, the leadership of the Europe Presbytery, the chairperson, as well as the lay representative to GAC of Europe Presbytery. Continue to be with us. We will be right back after this break. Welcome back to PCG Diaspora. If you are now joining us, you are not too far late, but you've missed a little. And it is here with us on PCG Diaspora today. We are looking at the Europe Presbytery, a whole presbytery of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana in Europe. And we are going to look at the scope of this presbytery. And doing the discussion with me is the chairperson of the Europe Presbytery in the person of Reverend Seth Ajokache, and Europe Presbytery lay representative, Mrs. Gifty Schubert. Mama and Papa,
Thank you very much.
So, Papa, we are coming into Europe Presbytery. What is the scope of Europe Presbytery? When we talk of Europe Presbytery, what are your landmarks? From where do you touch? Are you covering the entire Europe, or tell us about Europe Presbytery geographically?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Papa.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So when you talk about the demography
Yeah.
of Europe, um, it's the whole continent actually,
Mm.
including United Kingdom.
Okay.
So Europe Presbytery covers the whole of the UK and the
Mm.
whole of continental Europe.
Wow.
That is our presbytery.
Wow. Very
So
big.
yes, in Europe alone, there are 28 plus countries.
Oh.
Yes, and then when you add the United Kingdom of
Yeah.
Great Britain,
Which is
then
which alone is
yes,
so many countries put
yes,
together.
put together. So you can just see our demography,
Okay.
and then also we have even gone beyond Europe into the Middle East, what they call the MENA region. So
Okay.
Middle East, we are North Africa. We are there. We just started a church in Dubai, and Qatar is also calling. So we
Okay.
are getting ourselves prepared to enter Qatar.
Wow, that is a very big area of work.
Yes.
So, Papa, looking at your presbytery as the presbytery chairperson, how many districts do you have, and how scattered and which places do you have your congregations and preaching points?
Yes. So currently we have 7 districts.
Okay.
These districts are, we have 3 in the UK, South London, North London, and the Midlands districts.
Okay.
Then also when you come to the continent, we have 4 districts currently. We have the Netherlands, Belgium district, so Netherlands and Belgium together.
Okay.
We could say, we could even ask Luxembourg. So like the Benelux
Okay.
region is one
One
district. And then we have Germany. Germany is divided. So we have the Germany district and then the North German district.
Okay.
So German is divided
Okay.
into two.
Two.
And then we have Italy and Spain also together. Yeah, so in the near future, Spain is also going to separate, and then maybe France will come and join Spain because France is closer to
Okay.
Spain than to Germany.
To Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. That's great. So Papa, how is ministry? Mama, let me come to you, Mama. How is ministry in the perspective of the lay, not the ordained? You are in Germany doing your work. We have seen how you have traveled
Presbyter.
into the church. You are a presbyter, and now you are the lay rep. How do you see ministry over there? You've had experience in Nigeria and Ghana. Comparatively, how do you see ministry?
Comparing ministry in Germany and in Ghana,
Yeah.
um, it's totally, we are in a total different
Work.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm in Germany.
Yeah.
Papa was in Netherlands, and we have Belgium, we have Spain, we have this language
Barriers.
barriers. Here in Ghana, the language barriers are there, but we have an official language that is English that binds us together. So when you are sending somebody from here to the UK, it's okay because it's English. But when you come to Germany, you go to the Netherlands, you go to France. France is also part of the German district. You go to Spain and Italy. We have this language barrier which makes ministering in these areas very, very difficult. And then we have our cultural differences.
Yeah.
The European culture and our African culture is totally wild apart.
Wow, Papa, like Mama is saying, so we have these kind of barriers. As a minister, now chairperson, how is ministering in this new world, as Mama puts it, compared to Ghana?
Yeah. So just as Mama said, I mean, Ghana, this is where we grew up. It's a familiar ground or territory,
Sure.
if I may say that. And then when you are venturing outside Europe or venturing outside of Ghana, then you are going into what is called unfamiliar territories. In this case, the pressure it puts on you, or the obligation it puts on you as a missionary, as a minister, is that then you really need to be persevering, because you are going to encounter new language, you are going to encounter new culture, you are going to encounter a new way of thinking, and you have to be prepared, not only spiritually but also mentally and also physically.
Sure.
So yes, these are the challenges that are there, but we also know that when we study the Bible and we look at the Acts of the Apostles, we realize that the apostles, they moved from one place to the other.
Sure.
They encountered a lot of cultural barriers, but with the help of the Holy Spirit, they always prevailed.
Yeah.
And I think that when we look at the Euro Presbytery for the past 10, 18, 11, we can also say that in the beginning, it was very difficult. We didn't know what to go. We were hitting our heads, unnecessary quarrels. Was all because we were in this pressure cultural melting.
We are trying to do something to represent something, and you are not getting what you want. Then you begin to fight among yourself.
But now, where I sit and how I see things, I think we are beginning to find our way. Because I was in the first presbytery session, and it was chaos.
Oh,
our first presbytery was.
Oh, you were there.
Yeah, I was there.
Oh,
I was there. The first presbytery.
Then you kind of okay.
Yes. I see. It's like we were there. We didn't a lot of things, but
today,
by the time we finished the first session, we had seen we ourselves could reflect and say, okay, we could have done this, we could have done that, we could have done this, we could have done that. And that was how we have begun to pick up and to part ourselves. Papa Kofi Nyankwo, first presbytery chairperson, said, we are a path founding mission. So we're finding the path.
Yeah.
I think now we have found the path in a certain way.
Yeah.
And now we are beginning to look beyond and look at other territories.
Papa, before we go to the beyond and other territories, Mama mentioned the language barrier thing, and she may even mention that, like in Ghana, you are moved from. I was in Asante. I was moved to Ghana Presbytery. Language is there, but it's not so much a problem because we find ourselves leveled together with the English language.
It's true.
How is it there? Somebody being moved from Ghana to Germany. What are some of the things? If the person have to study the language, what goes into it? Share with us.
From my experience, I mean, moving from Ghana to Austria. And you need to master the language. You need to master the language. I remember when I went to Austria the first time. Fortunately, I worked in like as an ecumenical co-worker. I was working for the Austrian church and also working 50% for the Ghanaian congregation. And that brings a lot of opportunity and to meet people. So you visited the Austrian church, and when you visit the Austrian church, they did not speak English.
Surely their language.
Yes.
What language do they speak?
German.
German. Oh, German. Okay.
So right from the word go, I have to get my hands around the language, German language. And I always tell people, especially now when people are coming, I'm always challenging them. You have to try. You have to get your hands around the language, because the language opens up the culture.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Of course. You can only understand the culture through the language.
Of course.
Because most of the terms that they say, it's also their culture. It's the way they live, the way they communicate. So the language is very, very important. So now, I mean, after 10 years as presbytery, now if we are sending anybody to Germany, to Netherlands, we really have to look at the language and make sure that we send people who also have the ability to also master the language.
Okay, so Papa, now the ministering in this Euro Presbytery, how is it? Is it the same as ministering in Ghana? As a reverend minister, do we see similarities? Do we see some differences?
Yeah, there are similarities and there are also differences.
Right.
What are the similarities? The word of God does not change.
Yeah.
As a minister, you are trained to work and labor on the word. That does not change. But the context in which you labor on the word changes.
Yeah.
For example, here in Ghana, I mean, on Sunday, you get majority of your people coming to church. In Europe, we run shifts because people have to work on Sundays. So if they are working on Sundays, you will not get them every Sunday. There are people who can get in a whole month, maybe one Sunday. Those people are even fortunate. There are some people that in 3 months, in a whole quarter, they get only one Sunday off.
Whoa.
So then as a minister, you need to understand all these things so that when you go to church and the church is empty,
You understand that
your
it's,
balloon does not get
yeah,
deflated,
you,
and then you begin to
your
feel depressed.
anointing doesn't
Yes.
fly away.
Yes.
Which people?
Yeah. Yes.
I
So
see. I see.
these are some of the differences that you have in Europe, and I believe that one of the things that I learned early on is the story of Stephen and the Ethiopian eunuch.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
Stephen witnessed only to the Ethiopian eunuch.
Yes.
And for him, that was the reason why the Spirit moved him all the way into the desert.
Yes.
So when we are sending people from here to Europe, the congregations are not as big as you see here in Asukwa. I mean,
You, of course. The Bishop of Asukwa.
yes, you understand?
Big church.
Manyakbono, Adanfo, these
Okay.
are big
Big
churches.
ones, yeah.
Yes.
And
But
you
you
go
go and then you see smaller things. It does some. If you don't prepare yourself for it, can do something to your
Mama,
ministry.
with the lay people over there, when ministry is supposed to be serving them, when we are supposed to be serving them in ministry, how do they see ministry? How do they receive the word service? Like meetings, women's fellowship coming for meetings, children's YPG, yeah, meetings in the perspective of the lay. How is it? Is it encouraging? How does it go?
Um, we are struggling, but I think we are doing fine. As Papa said, that he was in the first, he was there when
First session.
the first
Presbytery
session,
session.
presbytery session was started. It is also like the women's ministry. There are so many things we don't know. It's not only in the women's ministry, in the men's, everywhere.
Oh.
So somebody will travel to Ghana, come, learn something, and then.
Yes,
So,
okay.
Papa said initially we were pathfinders, but now that we have seen the path, we have started putting in structures.
All right.
So you will go to some congregations that they don't have the women. It's a congregation or okay, but they don't have the women fellowship or men's fellowship, or if they have, it's only just a pocket of. And Papa said they don't have the time. Everybody travel there.
Purposely for
Finance,
purpose.
and people are working 2, 3 jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So getting the people to come to fellowship is very, very, very difficult. Even now that after COVID, we are doing our group meetings online. Still, you can't get the people because they are working. They are working.
I
very,
see.
it's very difficult. And then also one thing that also is not advantageous to us is the weather.
The weather. The weather.
In November, 4 o'clock is dark in Germany. Very
Mama,
dark.
we will come and continue from there. 4 o'clock is dark. You are still on PCG Diaspora, and it's been wonderful discussion. We are now at Europe, and we are already feeling the weather. The weather is getting cold here. You are welcome back to PCG Diaspora. And before we went on the break, we were looking at one major challenge that Mama says it is not advantageous to them when it comes to ministry in the Europe area is the weather. And she says in November, when it is about 4 o'clock or 2 o'clock, it's already dark.
And cold.
And very cold.
And sometimes there's snow.
Wow. One day I'll share my experience. That darkness thing. I was at the outside, but it was only 3 o'clock. So, Mama, with regards to you being the lay rep, presbyters, you said you have found your way. Now you are putting in the structures. How are the presbyters cooperating? You being their representative, how are they cooperating when it comes to finding understanding into the ministry? When you don't understand, that is where you argue more. But when you begin to understand, then you begin to really understand why this is done, why that is done? Are they cooperative when it comes to, learning?
Learning, yes. Um, most of us have seen that without you learning, like me myself, there were so many things I didn't know 3 years ago. But since I came to be the lay rep and attending all these meetings, it has widened my scope.
Very
So there are so many things that I didn't know, and maybe I had complained or murmured. So now when somebody is talking about it, I tell them I see it differently.
Yeah.
And I try to bring in my explanations, and I tell people always, let us be patient. After all, how old are we? Because before, we were seeing ourselves as being congregations. And then gradually, we formed districts. And then after the district, we are seeing presbyteries.
Presbytery.
And then as we are mounting up, responsibilities
Are getting
are
higher.
getting higher. And so people will tell you, before we were not paying tithes. Now why should we pay tithes? Before we were not paying, we call it mission support. Now they are saying 50-50. Before we were okay with the monies we were having. Now every day you stand in the pulpit, every Sunday they are telling us about money. PCG has turned into another thing, but it is because of the lack of knowledge.
Whoa.
But now that we are being educated
Very
on so many fronts, things are changing, but it's just gradual. There are some that you don't see, but it's like you have planted a seed. It needs to germinate before.
A time will come, we'll see the results. We'll see the results. Papa, let me come to you. Papa, as chairperson, in Ghana here, when you want to start a congregation and there is no structures, you can even find one classroom somewhere and you start. It's the same. How do you start congregations and how do you find accommodation in your area?
All right. Thank you very much. In Europe, one of the biggest maybe blessings and at the same time a challenge is the separation of church and state.
Okay.
And because of the separation of church and state, one, it gives religious organization or churches the freedom to operate without state control. But it also does not give the state responsibility in response to the churches. So you need to find your own way.
Okay.
You need to find a way to survive.
All right.
And it is not easy for you to have access to land, to buildings, to properties, especially when you are starting. Because one, you don't have the numbers. For example, in Germany, you need to have a certain number of members to be recognized by the state as a church.
Okay. Okay.
If you don't have those numbers, you are recognized as a society. Okay. So most of our churches in Europe,
in their eyes, society.
Yes, we say we are church, but in their eyes, we are just societies. You understand? We are societies like clubs, but we are growing.
Okay.
So it is possible, and we are even seeing signs of the possibility of when we come together and put our numbers together, and also bring our resources together, we are able to support each other in acquiring properties. That was how we did to help Turnouts in Belgium to acquire property. We did the same for the whole presbytery to acquire our presbytery mass, where I am living now.
All right.
Yes, and the same that we just recently, one of our congregations in London bought a property. We are doing the same thing. Hamburg is almost at the end of just getting the deal signed, and then we'll have our own churches. In most of the places, we don't have our own places of worship, so we have to share with other churches.
Okay.
This also puts constraints on the time. It means most of our churches will start late in the afternoon. And as Mama said, in November, it's getting dark early. So you're starting church at 3 o'clock
and it's already
dark. That is a disincentive for people even to come to church, especially if they're a bit old. But with all these challenges, I think the Lord has been so gracious to us that we are beginning to see signs of prospects everywhere. Recently, I've been moving around the presbytery, and everywhere I go, I say that no, the Lord is with us. Sure. We are making it. We are moving on. We are growing. And our numbers are also increasing. We are grateful to God. And now we are beginning to see other places where there are opportunities where we can grow churches.
We had interaction with North America, Australia, Presbytery, some of their ministers on our program, PCG Diaspora. And we came to the understanding that some of the churches where the congregations where they meet, they pay as much as 500, 600, 700.
That's not enough.
Dollars, like, I mean,
a
week, like a week service. Yeah. Is it the same over there or yours is
much
different?
more, much more.
Okay, let's
In
hear.
my former church that I pastored in Amsterdam,
You
will pay 4,500 euros a month.
Ooh.
Can you imagine?
Euros,
4,500
not dollars.
euros a month.
Wow.
As rent.
Wow.
So sometimes they say, na mu gua broche ho, na ye pesika kra mu fi yen. When they are talking about mission support, at the end of the month, you need to pay. And rent is rent. You either pay or you are evicted. So one priority is to pay our rent. When we pay our rent, before now we'll think about Osofo Edidi.
I see.
So the priority is place of worship. And that is so key. And that is why we are always praying that when we get a place to buy, if it is possible, the whole church should come and help us so that we can quickly buy the place. Because when we have owned our own place and we are no longer paying rent, well, we'll be paying mortgage.
A huge stress.
Yes, we'll be paying mortgage. But when you look at the mortgage compared to the rent, because rent, you are investing into somebody.
Yeah.
Mortgage, you are investing into your own property.
Yeah.
Yes, and some of these days. And then when we stand on our feet and you want to do any project, like Kuntun say, we'll bring all our harvest money. But now
you can't.
We need to pay rent.
Yes.
If you're rich.
Rent still needs to be paid, and that is very, very insightful when it comes to the diaspora mission. Papa, what are some of the other challenges, any other challenges that you face when it comes to ministering in the diaspora, especially in the Europe Presbytery?
Yeah. One other ministry challenge was the challenge between first and second, third generation Ghanaians.
Okay.
In the diaspora.
Okay.
The first generation are the people who were born here in Ghana. They grew up here in Ghana and then they moved out.
Yeah.
They are the first generation.
Okay.
The second generation and the third generation are their children and their grandchildren.
Okay.
So my daughter, who was born in Vienna, feels more Viennese than Ghanaian.
Wow.
I remember the first time we came to holidays and she was talking to my mother. And my mother said, Ghana girl. I said, no, I'm Vienna girl.
Oh.
If you Vienna. And then when it was time for us to go back, she told my mom, I'm going back to my home. They feel more at home.
Yeah.
There. We feel more at home here.
Yeah.
And what makes us feel more at home here is what we want to bring there. Okay. So when we go to church, we, the older people, we want to maintain the way we know the church in Adan, in Akropong, in Chebi, in Osu. We want to maintain it. Yeah. Our children who were born there, they are living and they see themselves as Germans, as Austrians, as Dutch people, and they want to see more Dutch in the church, more German in the church, and we want to see more Ghana in the church.
Yeah.
And that is always a bone of contention.
Wow.
So then as a presbytery or as ministers, we need to find a way to navigate these challenges.
To find a midway.
And I think that the first time we did that, I think in 2017, we decided that we should start youth services and they should use the national language and maybe English for first timers.
All right.
So that was the beginning.
Okay.
In Amsterdam, some started in other places. In Amsterdam, now it has grown. It is more like a second congregation on its own. And in other places, then also came the idea of the Global Presbyterian Worship Centers.
Yeah.
And I visited one Global Presbyterian Worship Center and I realized that all the young people were ministers' children. And I asked myself, so if we had not started Global Presbyterian Worship Center, where would our children be?
Our children would have found themselves somewhere else. Wow.
Yes.
So Papa, Global Presbyterian Worship Center and the Presbyterian Church of Ghana,
Yes.
do we have differences in worship style? Is there something that is unique to the Global Presbyterian Worship Center that is not here?
The uniqueness of the GPWCs is to make it more open,
Okay.
make it more modern,
Okay.
and also more welcoming to younger generation of people and young families as well.
Okay.
So it is more like a family church. We are building a family church so that everybody could feel welcome, irrespective of their language, irrespective of their tribe and the rest. And then through that, we are hoping that the Lord will use us to reach other nationals.
Mama Gifty, looking at the very lay people who we are ministering to in the Europe, would you say that now the since education is still ongoing and understanding is developing, there is so much ahead of us that we will be able to rope in more people into the church than losing a lot of people?
I can say yes and no.
Okay.
At the same time, as Papa was saying, we have the first, second, and third generation,
Generations.
and it's like the first we are facing away, and we are the majority. I think we have to put more fire in what Papa is saying in the direction of the GPWC. But one thing that we should also be very careful is the mode of services are not the same.
Okay.
And we don't want this Presbyterian way of worship to sort of face away.
Yes.
So if we take all the youths and then bring them into the GW,
PC,
that is, and this is where we have to, because it's not only the youth, we have also in the middle, we have the young who now are not so strong. And there also, we just need to work very hard if we really want to maintain
yeah.
the Presbyterian way or the Presbyterian system. As Papa said, there are some sort of flexibility. I don't know if that is
Yeah.
the word you used. So
When it comes to the global.
yeah, like the global, we don't have all these generational
Yeah.
group sort of things. So that is where I'm saying if we are not very careful, so we are putting in structure, but we have to be very, very cautious.
I see. I see, Papa.
I
Yes.
just wanted
Yes.
to add something to it. Yes, the GPWC at the moment, we don't have generational groups because
Okay.
it's something that we are beginning. It's a new thing we are starting. So we did that as a way of guarantee. You understand? Because we know from experience in Ghana and even in the diaspora, as soon as you start a congregation, then the leaders of the various groups from the district level, they come. You see YPG, you see singing band. Then the focus, our focus of really
Get divested.
discipling the
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
gets diverted. And that is why we say
You get a point.
for the time being.
Sure.
Yes, for the time being. But it does not mean that generational groups
Will
will
not
not
come
come.
at
In
all.
fact, if
So
you
it's part
study
of the plan.
if you study the history of our church, PCG, when it started, there was no generational groups.
Oh, of course.
There was
The
no
history of
children's
the
service.
church.
There was no YPG.
Yeah.
It was just church.
We have just joined
Yes.
some few years
Yes.
ago.
So all these things grow into
Okay.
the church as the church grows.
All right.
So we are nurturing, and gradually all those things will come. So I just want us to feel relaxed. Let's
Sure,
allow the Lord
sure,
and the Lord
sure.
work. And we are not stepping down on what makes us Presbyterian. No.
Mm,
What makes us Presbyterian is basically our polity,
mm.
then our theology.
That is where I want you to talk
Yes.
about that. In terms of the catechism of the church,
Yes.
the liturgy of the church, in your normal services, we talk about the Presbyterian Church of Ghana services. Is it featuring? Does it appear? Do we use them? Is it the same as we use here in Ghana?
In terms of being word for word, No.
not exactly,
Yes.
but as
But
a
in
guide,
terms of following the structure,
the structure.
our reform polity, our sense of worship, our worship is always approaching God.
Yes.
That is the first thing.
Yeah.
So approach.
Ministry.
After we approach, ministry of the word, and after the ministry of the word is
A
response.
response.
That is what makes us Presbyterian, and
All
that
right.
flows
Sure.
in the style of worship. Even though you hear us singing, hey, yeah, and other things, but
do you think like we learned from previous sessions on PCG diaspora activities, we learned that there are some songs they may be English
yes,
in nature, but
yes,
they are Ghanaian.
yes,
So do you find the same thing there in
yeah,
terms of music?
yes. So
You are a music oriented
we
person,
we
so
sing all forms
okay,
of music. We are not limited
sure.
in terms of the choice of music.
You sing
Yes,
everything.
we sing everything. We sing Presbyterian hymns. We change some of our hymns. And the last time I was in Frankfurt, they were singing a song in German, but it was an English song that they themselves translated. Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They do all those renditions
Yeah.
just to fit within the
Yes.
context for which they find themselves. That is beautiful. We are still on PCG Diaspora. At this moment, we'll be taking a short break, and when we come back, we are going to look at the presbytery, the prospects, where they are heading to. In fact, one major thing I will want Chairperson and Mama to help us is the people they are reaching when it comes to the Europe Presbytery. Are they reaching only Ghanaians, or other people are also welcome into the church? Stick and stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back on PCG Diaspora, and it's been with me the chairperson of the Europe Presbytery, Reverend Seth Ajokache, and the lay representative, Mrs. Gifty Schubert. Mama ne papa, me sa mama kwa baby o. So we are looking at PCG activities in Europe, and we are looking at the church. Now that you have started putting, just as Mama said, you found your way, and now you're putting in the structures and all that. How are you winning the souls? We call it the Presbyterian Church of Ghana. Is it only towards the Presbyterians or Ghanaians? Okay, Ghanaians in who have traveled to the place alone, or you are also reaching other people, Africans or indigenous? How is the ministry over there? The people that are coming into the church.
Thank you very much, Papa, for this question. It's a very important one.
Yeah.
And the Great Commission.
Mm.
He says we should go and make disciples of all nations.
Of all nations.
In fact, when I look at Europe and I look at demography of Europe, we have all the nations in Europe.
Sure.
Because people have traveled from all over the world,
yeah,
and they are meeting in Europe. So Europe is one place that you can meet all nations.
Yeah.
And so even though our church began primarily as a church of Ghanaians for Ghanaians, we have shifted that idea. And so our former chairperson calling shifting from chaplaincy into mission mode.
Wow.
Yes. And now we are seeing ourselves that, yes, we are Ghanaians, but we want God to minister through us Ghanaians to other nationals. So the GPWC, for instance, is one of these ways that we are ministering to other people. In fact, at a point in time in one of our GPWCs in Midlands, we had Portuguese-speaking people.
Wow.
Yes, we had Portuguese-speaking people in it.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I was in Frankfurt and I saw Germans
in the church.
in the church. I saw some Nigerians also in the church.
Yeah. I was going to ask about what about the Africans?
Yes. Some Nigerians.
I know Nigerians are there.
Yes. In Amsterdam, we had Cameroonians also in
The
our
church.
churches,
Okay.
in some of our churches in the Netherlands. So yes, it is now beginning to see that it is possible for us to also win other nationals. And I think that is where we have to concentrate more. We have to also work on that more. We are not leaving our Ghanaian people
Oh, no,
because
no.
day in, day out, they are always arriving.
You.
So we will keep them, we'll maintain them, but we are also reaching out to the other nationals. And I see the younger people also being the instruments through which, because they can bring their friends, they can bring their colleagues.
So, Mama, when it comes to Ghana here, and we say when you go to church, when you go to work, when you are in town, you are at home, your neighbors, you can call them, bring them for programs in church, bring somebody to church. You can even evangelize somebody at workplace and then accompany the person to church. Is this so with your particular area? Yes, in your environment.
Oh yes. I would say because of how my family is built, most of my friends, and then where I worked, I was the only African. So almost all my trusted friends are
Germans.
Germans, and then I have two Nigerians. And the only barrier is the language.
Okay.
They love the most. I invite them when we have a program. I invite them. They come, they enjoy. But then they will tell you, even though you try to interpret, but the language doesn't make me feel so
Welcome.
at
Like
home.
at home.
So we meet, we pray, and we do other things. But what's for me, I look ahead. As Papa said, our gem is the kids that are coming up. They were born there. They have been bred there. They are in the midst of the culture. They have the language, and the time is going to come. We are going to raise not ministers that are coming from here, but children that are born there will be trained as ministers, and they are good. God is going to use these people. So, what we are doing now, we are missionaries. We are laying upon a foundation, and this foundation, our children are coming to really build a building.
Yeah.
David gathered
The materials
the
for the
materials,
temple.
and
Solomon.
Solomon came to build.
Yeah.
And I think that is what we are doing now, whether we like it or not. The real fruits, we will not see it now, but it is coming.
Wow, they are real foods. We will not see it now, but it's coming. Papa, um, share with us with regards to the generations that you mentioned. Looking at going forward, what are some of the plans, the activities you are doing to really keep these first generation, as you call them, into the church so that they stay not just within the global worship centers, but even in the because the global will not collapse the PCG.
No.
So even in the church, what are some of the things that you're doing through your children's ministry and your junior youth ministry?
Yeah. So, like you just said, I mean, now I can say that we have two churches
Yeah.
in most of these places. We have like two strands of churches running, and we want both to grow. So the normal, original Ghana Presbyterian Church is there. It's growing because every day they are receiving new people who are coming.
Sure.
And then the GPWCs are also beginning to grow.
Okay.
And so we always have this strand of people,
Yeah.
and we need to keep our eye on them. At a point in time, there will be points of convergence
Meeting points.
and
Yeah.
meeting points. And that is why we are not letting go of our training materials, like training for children's service teachers. For example, we are also thinking about most of the materials that are produced in Ghana and the possibility of us having them also in the other languages.
Okay.
In the other languages. And I think that is very key. That is something that we really need to talk with the Church Life and Nurture Department and see how we can help in making that possible.
Translations,
All the
even the Bible
Bible
study
study
materials,
materials, children's manual,
yeah.
youth manual, we need to really translate them into the language and use examples from the culture.
Yes.
So that we can use that to also build them up.
That is true.
And like Mama said, they are going to bring their friends. They are going to bring their colleagues. They are marrying them. Mama married a German.
Yeah.
Yes. My daughter might marry an Austrian.
Because they've stayed there.
Yes.
They are growing there.
Yes, they are in the school together.
Yes.
And so, yes, so we don't have to really isolate them. We need to build them up, and we need the materials.
Very good. So, Papa, before we draw down the curtain, Mama, we want to have your last words to our cherished viewers on PCG Diaspora program on PCG TV. Papa, your last words.
So my last words is that we are grateful to God that in our lifetime, He has called us also to be part of this great church, the PCG. And PCG is now a global church. We are extending our tentacles by the grace of God. And we may be coming to a city where you are. So just watch out that we may be coming there. Maybe you're watching us from Barcelona or Madrid or Rome. We are coming there very soon.
We are coming. We are on our way.
Yes. Once you are there, we will be there.
Very
and for me,
good.
that is what I want to live with everybody. Once you are there, PCG will be there.
I hope you are noting it. Once you are there, PCG will be there. Mama Schubert.
Yes, as Papa is saying, once you are there, we will be there. But in case we have not
arrived
or reached out to you, please, you
get
come
in
to
touch with us. Get in
Our
touch with
arms
us.
are open. We love you.
Yes.
We want you to be part of us. We want to worship together with you.
Wow. 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 That is beautiful. That is beautiful. It's been a wonderful discussion with Papa said Tubate Ajokache and Mama Gifty Schubert. It's been a wonderful discussion. And remember these words. Once you are there, Papa is bringing Euro Presbytery PCG there. And so he says, wherever you are, the Presbyterian Church of Ghana is reaching out to you. If we have not come, if you have not arrived, just meet us and we are ready to receive you. Mama also adds. Beloved, this has been PCG Diaspora, a very wonderful program, educative, bringing you into the perspective of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana in diverse ways. How the Presbyterian Church of Ghana is reaching our own and those who have also reached touch base in outside of these soils of Ghana. And we have just studied and learned a lot of things going on in the Europe Presbytery. Beloved, wherever you find yourself, if you find yourself in this category, in any other country, in any place, just call on the Presbyterian Church of Ghana. Just go to the Google app, our resource, and then PCG Connect. Just search for PCG Connect and put in your details. They will quickly get your contact and begin to reach out to you. And that is why we call this program PCG Diaspora. There are a lot of things that the Presbyterian Church of Ghana is doing out there. You may not know, but you will be bringing them to you little by little. One day, one more time, we will invite Mama and Papa again, and we'll be diving into a different aspect of ministry over there entirely. And you will get to know that work is being done for the Lord. Just as He said, God sent us. Jesus said to us, go and make disciples of all nations without exception. Without exception. And therefore, wherever there are people, the Presbyterian Church of Ghana is coming. And we know the Lord will reach out to you. Beloved, we want to end here to tell you that the Lord loves you. And wherever you find yourself, just know that God is also there. And I'm always encouraged that Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, even in a foreign land, still stood up and stood for their God. May you stand up for your God wherever you find yourself. If you are finding challenges, moving and really growing in the spirit, call on our fathers and our mothers and our ministry over there, and they will come to your aid. Every help that you need will be supplied. That is the will of God for your life. May the Lord bless you and keep you as you have joined us this program. Next week, we will come to you with more. stick and stay with us on PCG TV. And this has been PCG Diaspora with me, Reverend Ebenezer Ahinkano Usu. God bless you.